Hi guys, welcome back and happy Thursday. So, exhale. I actually just got back in from a long day of work in the office doing psych evals, and I'm glad that the temperature in New York City is dropping. And it's funny because a lot of people are saying, oh, it's cold in New York, it's cold. And I step outside, like when I got done with work, and I didn't feel that. I felt a little chill. It did drop a little bit from what it felt like when I first stepped outside this morning. This morning it was a little cool, and it was drizzling, but temperature I guess did drop because of the rain. So I like it though. I actually love it. It's just right. I think it's like 49 degrees, so it's just perfect for me. But I wanted to do this video to kind of follow up with my discussion on cuckold. And it's like, you guys who follow me on YouTube, this is really by your request because you guys have taken to this topic and you actually like to hear me talk about it. I didn't realize how trending of a topic it was until I actually made my first video on it, kind of by mistake. I just kind of was talking about random alternative sexual lifestyles, and cuckold kind of falls what's under that umbrella, right? So you guys know that I am a faithful, devout practitioner of BDSM, even though I've kind of been like laying low a while, but I still practice it like when I am in a relationship, because I kind of pretty much been single. That's what I mean by laying low. I've been like pretty much single. I mean, I date here and there, but I've been pretty much focused on my doctoral studies, so I just haven't, I guess, had a real opportunity to practice BDSM like I would love to, given the right guy, the right relationship. It's a special dynamic, and not everybody gets it. So cuckold does kind of fall underneath that umbrella. And I wanted to talk in this video kind of briefly, not too long. This may be like an introductory video about the benefits of cuckoldry, or the benefits of being a cuckoldress, right? Is that what it's called when a female actually is the one in that relationship, in the cuckold relationship? I know that the man, or the husband, right, of the female partner, who allows his female partner to engage in these sexual activities with other men, I know he is called the cuckold. And then the bull that comes in, or it can be multiple bulls that come into that relationship, they, those men are called bulls, right? And I didn't even know what they were called. Someone actually dropped the name below, so I kind of appreciate you guys when you guys interact and you guys comment and let me know these terms, because I'm like, I didn't even know first of all cuckold really was a thing until I had a discussion with my ex several years ago. I talked about this in my other videos, how I was first introduced to this whole thing about cuckold, and I keep getting asked over and over again. People keep asking me, would you try it? Is it something that you would want to do? And I'm just like, y'all want to see me involved in this lifestyle, but it's really not my thing. And I will actually go into more detail and answer this question later in this video towards the end, and I will kind of tell you guys why. And I think I did address it, but I don't think I really made myself clear, so I'll revisit that. How are you guys doing, by the way? So the term cuckold actually comes from, it's interesting to know like the etymology of a word, right? So the term cuckold comes from cuckoo, which is a bird, and it's, from what I understand, it's kind of looked down upon, actually. Cuckold, right? It's looked down upon. But it comes from the term cuckoo, and I think this is the reason why it's looked down upon, because basically it's a bird that lays its eggs in another bird's nest. Right? And it's basically so that the other bird kind of is responsible for the rearing of those baby birds, chicklets, or whatever you want to call it. And I think this is a thing, because I think people are like so quick to judge. So I want to like check this right here at the door. You know, like, leave your judgmental attitudes at the door, because that's not what this video is for. In fact, you guys know, like, my channel in general, I mean, I talk about a variety of different topics, and I would like to create a space, a safe space, that we could talk about these things in a mature manner. But that's difficult when your channel is public, right? Anybody can comment and leave their opinions, which usually aren't worth that much, on your video. Just like when I actually came, you know, out and kind of told you guys what I had a dream about, when I was dreaming about my dad. I'm not going to go into detail about that dream here in this video, but, you know, I would say for the most part, there was not judgmentalism. There was like kind of understanding and people like identifying with that, right? But then of course you got a percentage of people who come at a certain judgmental angle, and it's really not helpful, I think, towards having a mature discussion. Because like, how can you have a mature discussion? Let's say if we were meeting together, right, in person, and then you got people like with their weird faces, and not only that, because I think I can handle disapproval. I think it's just how it comes out, right? Like, a lot of times people, not only do they judge, right, but they almost like demonize you in a way. Like, they demonize the behavior, they demonize you as a person, they put you in this box like they got you all figured out, and they just have no idea. And then, you know, this is usually in reference to people kind of expressing who they are, expressing their alternative, you know, sexual behaviors or interests, and it's just like, oh my gosh. And the fact that I shared a dream, you guys, it was a dream. It wasn't even something that actually happened. How people just easily took to the judgmental attitude about it. And what got me is like, okay, y'all want to judge, but why the fuck are you here? Like, why are you on this video? What led you here? And then why are you still watching? Like, these people actually watched the entire video about the dream that I had. But they're so judgmental. I want to see what the lighting is like. It's like, they sit up here and watch the entire video, but you want to judge. Like, ew, that's nasty. This is disgusting. Oh my gosh, how could you? I'm like, how could you watch this? Like, for me, if something disgusts me, I am not going to sit up here and watch anything that disgusts me when I have full control over my eyes and what I can see, right? Like, no, I'm not going to watch it. I'm just going to turn away from it. You can easily X out the video. Keep going. Bye-bye. But they watched the video. Like, you sat there and watched it. And some people judge prematurely just by the title. And this is a little hint, you guys, because some of you guys don't really know, like, YouTube culture. But anytime you see a YouTube title, right, YouTube video title with question marks, usually at the end, that is a easy indicator that there's a little bit of fictitious elaboration in the video, right? Like, it's not 100% accurately true, right? So that's just like, that's like an insider, you know? It's like, y'all don't get it, right? And some people are like, oh my gosh, you did this? I can't, you guys. But I have to kind of check the judgmental attitude at the door, because I'm going to say some things in this video that I know a lot of people in their fakeness won't agree with publicly. But that's the thing, behind closed doors, you're like, you're sitting there watching. putting yourself in the shoes of what I'm about to talk about, the person I'm about to talk about, this hypothetical experience I'm about to talk about. You put yourself in the shoes of that person, and you begin to enjoy it. You see yourself there. You begin to imagine what it's like. You begin to feel, and what you feel is only good things, right? So I think sometimes what we've been taught, how we've been socialized, how we've been programmed in our society, especially with religion, that we've been kind of trained and brainwashed to look at natural human behavior, natural occurrences in human behavior as something that is detestable and is nasty, it's disgusting. But really it's just nature. So as far as the benefits of being a cuckoldress, right? The woman whose male partner, typically husband, right? This is a long-standing partner. They have like this tight bond. You have to have a tight bond, I would say, to be able to get to the point where, not that your relationship is open, right? Because I think sometimes people get it confused and like, oh, okay, she's just out there fucking in everybody, right? They think that that's what I'm thinking about and talking about when I refer to a woman in this kind of relationship. Absolutely no. In fact, there are very clear and well-defined guidelines, as to what's going to happen in this kind of relationship. What's going to happen in terms of who comes in to the relationship, right? What kind of guy comes in? Like, there's much discussion and communication about it, as opposed to what you see informally, right, in relationships where people just out there don't have any kind of respect, regard for the other person in the relationship, and they just doing what they want to do anyway. See, this is the thing. It's like human beings are going to naturally gravitate towards these so-called disgusting or abnormal sexual behaviors anyway. But when it takes place within a context where you got two mature adults who have a discussion, they agree to do these things, then it's bad. It's like y'all out there fucking anyway. You out there fucking wherever you want to fuck anyway. You going behind your partner's back and you cheating, right? So, not that I'm here to judge, but these are the same people who are leaving comments, negative comments on the video when we're exploring the idea of such of a lifestyle or relationship like this. It's kind of a contradiction, don't you think? It's a big contradiction. I like and actually can respect people who are mature enough and who they are in their sexuality, that they know who they are. And they proudly, like, unapologetically live this lifestyle. I don't care about what people think, right? Whatever lifestyle. We're talking about cuckoldry in this video, but this can apply to BDSM relationship. You got all kinds of relationships out there. People doing their thing. I saw a couple photos and videos of, there's a black woman here in New York City. And I'm just like, okay, girl, you doing your thing. But I guess she's a master and she has a pet. And I think she has multiple pets actually. And these pets are often white men who she kind of parades around New York City. And they're like on all fours, like as a pet, right? But these are roles that adults, willing, consensual adults, choose to engage in. And they engage in these roles because they gain something from it. There's a sense of gratification in doing these things. And I've seen pictures, I'm just like, yeah, it's different. It's not what most so-called traditional couples are used to. But at least she's living her life, right? Some people, they only can fantasize about these things, but she's actually living it, So, I have much respect for people like that. I do. Exactly, Danielle. It does take a sense of a certain degree of maturity, I think, to be able to explore this kind of relationship, any kind of alternative relationship with your partner. And so we're talking about a man in a relationship with a woman who becomes the cuckold, who understands that stepping outside the normal boundaries of how we've been socialized as human beings, he understands that it's okay. And he's created a safe place with his partner to be able to do so. And in doing so, like you have to have a discussion about this. You don't just go out and just, all right, that one right there. Come over here, you know. That's not at least how I would do it, right? You don't do that. You talk about these things because, especially if you have a long-standing relationship with your partner, like that's something you want to protect. And I made a whole video on cuckold safety. You guys go and watch that. But it's really important because I made the video in response to some comments that I had saw my other video on cuckold, where I saw people were like playing matchmaker in the comments, like they were just kind of hooking up. And we know like how the internet can be pretty dangerous, but they're like, oh, you know, what's up? I'm into it. You know, I wanna be a cuckold, or I would basically men offering their wives, you know, to have sex with other men on the internet. In my comment section, I'm just like, listen, I'm all for having fun, but we have to be smart too, right? Like the normal rules of safety still apply even in alternative relationships. And sometimes that's what people tend to forget. So I made a video on cuckold safety just to kind of bring this to people's awareness, right? And I think also, and I mentioned this in the video, that I think partially it was, you know, the motivation for me making that video was because I felt a little jealous. I'm like, damn, y'all having fun. Y'all ain't invite me. Nah, but yeah, I think I did feel a teeny bit of jealousy. I was just like, damn, I was just imagining like what could happen. And then looking at those pictures, like the profiles of some of those men and people in the comment section, I'm just like, damn, you're sexy. Like, what's up? But I say this, but honestly, I wouldn't probably meet anybody from social media at all, because I've had people in my inbox. I mean, that's a constant, you know, guys in my inbox want to hook up, wanting to get to know me, you know, just even as friends. And I'm just like, I kind of shut it down. So I'm more reluctant, I think, to meet people from social media, because I feel like my social media platform, and this is just an aside, but I look at it like it's business, you know. It's completely business, right? So I can't mix my personal with business, you know. Sometimes people get confused because I'm pretty transparent in my videos, you know. That's just the person I am, so it makes people feel comfortable to reach out to me and be like, hey, what's up, right? I'm like the girl next door. But anyway, back to the topic of, you know, a cuckold relationship. So like, I imagine a man and a woman in a relationship who've been together for several years, coming together and having a discussion about this, you know, and saying, you know, let's try this, and identifying the benefits of it, like seeing how doing something different, period, for the first time, any novel experience, because you're going to have these positive emotions associated with it, right? Because it's something new, usually. Now, things can go wrong. You can be quite disappointed in what comes out of this, right? But I think if you're going into it with a positive mindset, like kind of a hopeful attitude, and you're like, let's try this, you know, and you find a person, and I even recommended this in my other video, the cuckold safety video, about like taking it slow. Like, don't just get so don't get too anxious, right? Don't go freaking manic with it and be bringing in like 5 and 10 people, like, especially if this is your first time doing this. Like, you just go off on a limb and you got like you just go crazy with it and all these people coming. Like, nah, I would suggest like starting with one person first, you know, bringing one guy that, I think it's really about female gratification, like female pleasure, right? Because the male partner in the relationship, he's not the one having sex. He's not the one doing the fucking. He may be observing and watching. And now that I said that, because I was about to say, it's really about female gratification, so she should be the one primarily choosing this bull that comes in terms of a person that kind of meets her taste buds, emotionally and physically. But then again, I think it would be kind of exciting too for the male partner to choose. That will create a whole different dynamic. Because what if he chooses someone that she doesn't like? Right? And then they're having sex. It's like, okay, she's turned off by this guy, but she's just doing it to please her husband. Because it's not always about female gratification. I mean, in fact, more recently, men who subscribe to this whole cuckoldry kind of relationship, like, they receive gratification from it. It's not just about the woman being gratified. And even though historically, like, cuckoldry has been like looked down upon, right? This whole act of a man, a woman basically having sex with different men who are not her husband, like, it's been kind of looked down upon as if, it's something that's just benefiting her. But it does actually benefit the man too in that relationship, especially if he gets to choose. He gets to not only choose, but to orchestrate how it happens and what happens when it happens. That can be pretty fascinating, I mean, what I'm talking about here, right? What we're talking about here in this video, it supersedes your traditional relationship, obviously, right? It's like, okay, we're all adults, right? Once you try the traditional girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, I mean, y'all have to admit, that shit get played out after a while, And there's nothing wrong with stepping outside the boundaries of that. Having fun, like, that's where I'm saying you have a communication surrounding this, right? It's not like you're just going out there doing this and doing it. You sit down and you talk about these things, and you strategically choose who you're going to bring in. Same thing when, husband and wife, men and women they're married, but they're in like open relationships. It's not that they're just out there fucking anybody, but they choose strategically. Just like you strategically choose your partner, who you're gonna get involved with and you're gonna commit to and kind of let your guard down and become vulnerable with. It's the same thing. Same rules apply. And so I can imagine, two adults, mature adults, coming together and having this discussion, and then, it goes down, right? It goes down, and, he chooses, she confirms. And I'm very careful, I guess, about the words that I use because, granted, I am a submissive. And I understand. Sometimes I make my videos, obviously, for a very diverse audience. And I try to choose words and language that you guys can kind of relate to and identify with. But sometimes, it just doesn't hit. You guys are like, what? What? So when I say, like, allow the man to choose and it's up to the man to choose, like, who the bull is, that's just my submissive nature speaking. And that's how I would do it in that kind of relationship. And like I said, I think that it would be best to kind of just start with one, see how that goes, right? But speaking from a female's perspective, because I think sometimes we as a culture, right, as an American society, like, sometimes we get things mixed up. Things have gotten freaking misconstrued. People think that somehow sex is just like a man's thing, right? Like, only men can be gratified and only men like to have sex. No, women like to have sex too. I mean, it takes two to tango, right? So wouldn't women enjoy sex just as much as men? Yes, women do. And so, given that, I think it's safe to say that, you know, when women enjoy sex just as much as men, sometimes one isn't enough. It's just not enough. Even her male partner isn't enough. That's why the idea of bringing in another person comes about. Mature men can actually have this conversation with their wife, right? They can sit down and say, you know what, I admit and I recognize that I don't thoroughly satisfy you. So I'm willing to do what makes you happy. And if it means bringing in another man of your choosing, of course with my approval, making sure that he's checked out. You gotta check these people out, you know. You can't just be bringing in anybody, especially nowadays. Then he says, all right, let's do it. And after that one, and, you know, it becomes, sex is an addictive thing, right? So it's just like, it comes with all, like a overwhelming swarm of emotions, positive emotions, and is linked to our biology, right? It's a bio basis for what we feel when we have sex, right? You know, we feel giddy inside. We feel like we're riding a wave, you know, we're on cloud 9 and nothing else in the world matters, right? We feel carefree, stress-free, relieved, relaxed, full of joy, right? And that stems from the neurochemicals that are released from our brain and throughout our body when we have sex, when we're stimulated in a certain kind of way. This is only natural. And so when you feel good, of course, you crave that which made you feel good. And you want more of it. And just like anything else in life, I don't know why we think that sex is different, right? Like, oh, you know, you gotta just have one partner. You know, it's detestable if you like a variety when it comes to sex. Because sex is different. But don't we like a variety of food, clothes, places to visit, anything, like you name it. We like to switch things up. Cars that we drive. You buy a new car, right? After probably not even a year, several months, you already want to buy a new car. That car is played out. It's the same thing with sex. You know, it's like you want to get a different feel, especially when your eyes, your senses, you're exposed to different types of people that exist out there. But in our society, we say it's okay for men to do it, right? It's like, oh, big up, dog. You got all these women. Men can have 4 or 5 and 6, 10 different women. And he's praised. But when a woman does it, it's like, it's a double standard, apparently, right? Like, oh, you gotta protect the womb. But are we not trying to protect the man's genitals? We're not trying to protect his organs? So his organs can be defiled, right? Like we associate sex with this like nasty thing. It's disgusting. But if it's disgusting if a woman does it, wouldn't it be disgusting if a man does it too? Like what makes sex disgusting? If it's with people who are mature, who are clean, now that goes without saying, of course, right? Like we're talking about STD free here, you know, that goes without saying. People who are clean, who have a respect for their bodies, who know how to take care of themselves, you know. What's the harm in getting gratified sexually, physically, by another person? We have different ways that we do gratify ourselves on a physical level, right? Some of us engage in sports, you know. You get the runner's high. Working out, that can be likened to sex, right? Because your body releases the same neurochemicals when you work out. hiking. People are like freaking gym rats. It's the same concept. But when we talk about sex, it's just like, oh no. Oh no, you can't. You gotta guard yourself. And yes, you do want to protect yourself. But do you protect yourself to the extent where you just are not able to explore, not able to just be you and enjoy your sexuality? It gets kind of tricky. But for a woman, yes, women like sex too, just as much as men. A woman who is honest and a woman who is comfortable in her sexuality. She can admit that, yeah, I like it. I like the way it makes me feel. And having the freedom and the flexibility to explore the sexuality, the female sexuality with different men, different types and shapes and smells of men with different sizes, right? And this right here is really the reason why I made this video, because I think that this is one of the biggest benefits of cuckoldry. So if and when it ever gets to the point in a relationship between a man and a woman where they feel comfortable enough, they've kind of experimented with being able to do this with one bull, and they say, all right, we enjoyed it. It was nice. You liked it, baby? Yeah, I liked it. All right. So what do you think? Where should we go next? Thinking about two. Two? Yeah, two. Wouldn't that be really exciting to see as a man? Guys, let me know. You guys who are watching this, right? Someone is calling me. Wouldn't that be pretty exciting? Men who are into this lifestyle, right? To sit back and to watch your wife or significant other. I use the terms interchangeably, right? But to watch your wife get pleased, thoroughly pleased. And I say thoroughly because women who enjoy sex oftentimes aren't completely satisfied. Like, men think they have high sex drive and they can last long, but a man only can last so long, right? And then there's a down phase where after he orgasms, like, he cannot get his dick back hard again, unless, of course, he's taking some kind of special enhancer. And sometimes men be lying like, oh no, I can last 4 hours. I can last 5 hours. What you taking? What are you taking to last that? It's something. Or being able to ejaculate and then 2 minutes later your dick back hard. That's unusual. That's not normal. Now correct me if I'm wrong, but that's not normal, right? So in that circumstance, a woman may have a desire to keep going. But after he's already ejaculated, is she thoroughly pleased? No. If she wants to keep going and he's already come, how can you say she's thoroughly pleased? No. So then that's where the second partner will come in. Or the third, the fourth, the fifth. And I'm just thinking, I thought about this actually. I was lying in bed the other day and I'm just like, it came across my mind, this whole idea of cuckoldry and just imagining like what that would look like. And it's like, damn. Could you imagine a woman who is comfortable, obviously, in her sexuality, and she's with, her male partner, her husband, and they have, agreed to bring in multiple men in their relationship, who of course, they've actually courted and, they get to know, and these are not random people, by the way. Let's say they're friends, right? And they, come over for, a hangout. They're hanging out at the house. And let's say it's 5 men, right? 5 men outside of her husband. And of course, those 5 men are going to be different sizes. Who do you think should go first? Should the smallest man go first? Should you line it up from smallest to largest? I would think so, right? Only makes sense. Because you think about the elasticity of a woman's vagina, yes, it can snap back, right? Most women's vagina snaps back. Even women who have had kids. I don't have kids yet. I do want some, but I mean, they snap back. They shrink back. They can get stretched out. Come on back in, right? And start with the smallest size. Start with smallest size because if you start with the bigger size, well endowed, the biggest, the big dick energy, it's just going to mess it up for the rest of the guys, right? And of course, they want to get some kind of enjoyment out of this too. Not just about the woman's sexual gratification. But also, from a woman's perspective, if they start with the largest size man, it's like it's pointless to even have sex with the rest of them, right? How is she going to be gratified? I think starting with the benefit of starting with the smaller size man is like she gets to build up. It's that there's that build up, right? So let's say the smallest size man is only 3 inches on hard, right? Fully hard. It's just like, okay, it's a tease word, you know. Then the next one, you know, is maybe a half, let's say a 1/4 inch bigger than that. And it keeps going up until, let's say, the largest size is 8 inches, right? When she reaches the 8 inches, that's going to be like the fireworks, right? Like, that's going to be the grand finale of the night, you know? And then, at that point, when you think about it, after 5 men, I gotta take a sip on that. But after 5 men, by then, time-wise, I would say that's about, because let's say, I know men vary in terms of how long they can last, but on average, y'all be honest, I want y'all to drop in the comment section below if you're not ashamed. And don't be sitting up here exaggerating. Some of y'all be lying. But how long do you typically last during sex? Drop below. I'm asking the men here. How long do you typically last? When we're talking about some good stuff, though, good, squishy, tight, nice, you're attracted to her, you just like, how long? Especially if it's the first time, too. Because that does matter. If, you know, your penis has gotten adjusted and used to the vagina, it does matter how long you last. It's going to have an impact on how long you last. But comment below. I would guess 5 minutes. Hey, listen, I know this to be true, right? A lot of guys, they brag about how long they can last, but they really don't last that long, man. And it's definitely a mind thing. And that's why I think some men, like, they do things to try to distract themselves, right? They have these little mental games they play to try to last longer when they're having sex with a woman, because they know if they think about this when they look at her, if they even look at her. When you look at her, your ass coming quick as hell. Especially if you're looking at the facial expressions that she's making, right? It's going to knock your whole shit off. Fuck up your whole concentration. And I think that's why guys play those tricks. Like, they do things to try to, you know, build up their stamina and make themselves last longer. So you can see sometimes, like, men, they'll be, like, trying to look off to the side or close their eyes. Listen, if you come fast, you come fast, you know. That's why there are other things, supplemental activities. And that's what we're talking about here in this video, supplemental activities that can help meet that woman's need, because yo ass just, that 4 or 5 minute man ain't enough. And most men are 4 or 5 minute men. It's just not enough, it's not sufficient. But let's say the 5 men each last 5 minutes. That's 25 minutes. I guess one can say that's a good workout. So by the end of that time, she's going to be exhausted. Not only exhausted, but thoroughly satisfied. Thoroughly pleased. Now, to answer the question, because a lot of people ask me this, and I'm like, I could have sworn I made myself clear as to would I try this. Granted, I like to talk about a number of different topics. I'll talk about anything. Usually, like I have a conversation about almost anything, right? And the depth in which I have a conversation and how much energy I put into it, oftentimes can be misleading, because sometimes people think like, oh, she got a lot of experience with this, or oh, she's done this before, or she's interested in this. I may not be interested in it, but I do know how to put myself in somebody else's shoes who is interested in it. And the truth of the matter is, I don't think I ever see myself being a cuckoldress or being in that kind of relationship, right? Where I am getting pleased by different men who me and my male partner bring into their relationship. I just don't see that. Not in that way. Now, what I can see though is polyandry. And so the difference here is that it's more of a polyandry is where one woman is married to multiple men, right? And it's not for sex. I think this is the thing, like in pop culture and the media, you see it just played out wrong. You see it kind of advertised just incorrectly, right? And so there's this one black woman who claims that she has like 4 or 5 husbands, and I was just like, y'all, you don't have 4 or 5. It's not, in my eyes, that doesn't fit the category of polyandry, because these men that she claims that she's married to also have other wives. And not only that, but the wives that they're married to, like they have open relationship and they're just like having sex. It's just mainly about sex, and for me, it's bigger than sex. It's deeper than sex. So that's the reason why I don't really think that I would gravitate towards that whole cuckold dynamic, because for me, sex is very spiritual. And I think that's an understatement, to be honest. Like, so when I say it's spiritual, like I have to already have like a deep-seated spiritual connection with this person, and we're building something that's bigger, that exceeds the boundaries of sex. So that's kind of difficult to kind of come across, where you have adults, right, myself and other men who can agree to this kind of dynamic. Because you got a lot of men that say, all right, I'm interested in polyandry, but I think they're only drawn to it because they just like the whole sex, like a sex thing, right? Like, oh, kind of exciting, is different, right? I'll let you have other guys. Of course, you got a lot of men who don't have anything, are not opposed to, being with the woman and, who's fucking other men, right? But that's not what I'm attracted to necessarily. It's just not. Like, sex, like I said, spiritual, it's emotional. Like, I have to have a connection with that person before I can even say that I enjoy the sex. It's not going to be, like, I'm not going to receive full gratification just from the sexual activity in and of itself if I don't already have that connection established, that bond kind of pre-established with this person. And it's something that is kind of long-standing, It's not something that's just happening in the moment. It's temporary, but it's something like this bond is like we're building and we're working towards something. Like I said, it's bigger than sex itself. But I want you guys to comment below and share if you would be interested in this lifestyle. I'm pretty sure some of you guys already are. And I'm curious to know what your stories are like. And I think I might actually bring in a guest in my next cuckold video, because I'm interested in having like a live dialogue about this topic. Because I want to just open up people's minds a little bit more, which I think I did. I think I achieved that goal, that purpose here in this video. But even further than that, because I see some of y'all, y'all will peek in, but then you run away. You peek in, but you're like, oh no, I'm not ready for that. Like, that's, I'm going to end this video. I will catch you guys later. Thank you guys for tuning in. Feel free to share your comments below. And have a great night.